Right guys, page 4 then, we're going to do question 2. Let's have a little look at this one. We've got 2-part A. The diagram below shows a number machine. Okay, so you've got an input, then you're supposed to add 7, then after that you multiply by 5, and then you have an output, input, output. Okay, good. So write down the output when the input is n. So why don't we just put an n here as our input. Now when you add 7 to n, are we all happy that I can write that as n plus 7? Now whenever you see an object like that, it's more than one term, the best thing to do is put a bracket around it. Whenever you see more than one term and you want to do something to it, just automatically put a bracket around it just in case. Right, because that's an object, right? Okay, you can treat that as a single object now. The next thing in the loop, we push it through, this comes through here, we now multiply this object by 5, so it's 5 lots of this object. See? Easy then, isn't it? And then we get our output. So we do nothing more, so we're going to get 5n plus 7, aren't we? So write down the output when the input is n. So here's the output. So let's just put that in then. Equals 5 n plus 7. Now when you see that a bracket with one term outside and two terms inside a bracket, you draw two lines. So you expand that sort of bracket. First line is 5 lots of n. And then the second line, do that multiple, 5 lots of 7. There we go, 5n plus 35. Okay, so it's either this or it's equal to that if you want to expand the bracket. Okay, good. So part B, find the nth term of the sequence. Now this is a pain of a question actually, because I'd like to go into this in a lot more detail, but time doesn't permit me. So I'm going to have to do it in the quickest way possible. So let's try and do it then, shall we? In the quickest way possible. So we got to see the pattern. You see 1, then there's a 7, and then you're 13, then it's a 19. So can you see what you're adding each time? You're adding the same amount, aren't you? So you're adding 6, so you add 6, you add 6, another 6 to 19, another 6 to 25. So I can write that in a pattern now, can't I, from this sequence. The first one was 1. The second one I can write as 1 plus a 6, right? But then I add another 6 to the 1, don't I? Yeah, so you're adding 2 lots of 6. You okay with me to just jump to that? Because I've added a 6 to that one, and then I add another 6 to get to the 13, yeah? And then the next one, I add another 6 again, so that'd be 1 plus 3 lots of 6. Alright? That's a times here, isn't there? So I'll put a dot at the bottom. And then the next one would be 1 plus 4 lots of 6. Yeah, and that gives you 25. Let's just check then. There's 1 there. And this is 1 plus 1 lot of 6. So can I put the 1 lot of 6 in? Because 6 on its own is 1 lot of 6. Alright with that? And then here this is 1 plus 2 lots of 6, which is the 13. 18 and 1 is 19, 24 and 1 is 25. So everything's fine. And that's the pattern of the sequence. So can you see 4, 3, 2, 1. So if I want to write this first term in the same form as all the other terms in the sequence, how many 6s do you add to this? Would you need to add to this? Can you see it? 4, 3, 2, 1, yeah, 0. So if I want to write that in the same form, which is nice to do actually, and I think it's right, it will be 1 plus 0 lots of 6, okay? So that's a generalized sort of structure now. It's all the same form and pattern, isn't it, all the way through the sequence. And you can see how it builds up, right from the very first term. This is the second term, so this is the first term, this is the second. Right, now we're clear on what the sequence is and its pattern that's generated, third, fourth, and this is the fifth. We can start to work out what the nth term is. So nth term then. Now this is where it might get a little tricky, because we're generalizing things, aren't we? Now the first term was 1 plus 0.6. The second term was 1 plus 1 lot of 6. The third term was 1 plus 2 lots of 6. The fourth term was 1 plus 3 lots of 6. And the fifth term is 1 plus 4 lots of 6. So the ninth term, how many lots of 6 would you add to 1 for that one? Well, it would be 8, wouldn't it? Agreed? Because it's 1 less. Every time it's 1 less. So if I said now, let's do the nth term, it's 1 plus so many lots of 6. How many? Well, the pattern is 1 less, isn't it? And 1 less than n is n take 1. Put a bracket around it because there's more than one term. And I'm going to write that out more tidily now, but it's n minus 1 brackets times 6, yeah? So let me just write that out properly. Okay, bit more room. So we said it was 1 less than n. Lots of 6. There we are. And now let's expand the bracket just to tidy things up. So we're going to get 1. Are we all happy? One line out, one term outside, 2 terms in. You draw 2 lines. Got line 1 and then line 2. So I'll put line 2 first because we can add one thing to another. Doesn't matter which one we write down first. Everyone, that's 6n. Agreed? So this is 1 plus, and then this line here is 6 lots of n. And this second line, or I've labelled it number 1 here, is minus times the 6. It's minus 1 times plus 6 is minus 6. So that's equal to then, let's tidy it up, 6n, put that first. And then you got 1 take 6 is minus 5. There we are, all tidied. That's good. Agreed? Yeah, so that's that one. That's a tricky question. That's the hardest question that we've done on this particular page. Let's look at the next one now. The nth term of a sequence is n squared plus 6. So let's just write that down. Nth term equals n squared plus 6. Okay. Find the value of the 15th term of the sequence. So in place of n, the 15th term, n has the value 15, agreed? So wherever I see an n in this expression, I replace it by its value. So I'll put a little bracket around. Oh, silly me. Put a little bracket around the value that we're putting in and just write exactly the same thing. So it'll be n squared plus 6. Now if you don't like doing that, I'll do it in a simpler way, shall I? So let's just do n squared plus 6. And we said our input, our n value was 15. So instead of n, I'm going to overwrite that with the value 15. There we are. Okay. So it's 15 squared plus 6. 15 squared is 15 times 15. If you need to check it out, it's 225, but basically 10 15s are 150. Yeah, 5 15s are 5 10s and 5 5s. 5 10s are 50 and 25. Yeah, that's 75. All right, add them together, you get 225. Okay, so 15 squared is 225. Plus 6, so you end up with 231, don't you? Let me just run you through the 15 squared just in case you're not sure. 15 15s, you can think of that as a 15 times 10. I think of it as 10 15s, right? Which I know is 150 because that's easy. And I need 5 15s more, yeah? So I know 5 15s, I would just write down 75, but if you needed to break that down further, there's 5 lots of 10, which is 50. And then another 5 lots of 5, isn't it? 25, 75. And then you add the 150 and the 75, you get 225. Yeah, so 15 15s then, that's an S, times 15 will equal the, when you add them up, 225. Okay, so there's a number of ways to get 225, or you just know the 15 squared is 225. So that squared is that, add 6 to that, you get 231. Okay then, I think that's the page done. Good. I know we dilly-dallied, but we've had a good thorough look at it, and there was one slightly awkward question that you know, it's non-trivial, really. Okay then, so that's page 4 done. Good, let's go on to the next one.